If you're brand new to quilting, it can sometimes feel like you have to buy the entire quilt store before you can even get started. I'm Jen Frost with Faith in Fabric, and today I'm here to show you the 8 different tools that you need to get started as a beginner Christian quilter.
Rotary cutters help you cut your fabric quickly and accurately. And honestly, once you start using these, you won't go back. So if you're not familiar with the rotary cutter, it basically is just a little blade attached to a handle, and it enables you to very easily cut straight through fabric while measuring. We'll talk about rulers in a minute.
One of the first choices you'll make when finding your first rotary cutter is what style of handle you want. So you'll see this is just a single grip, kind of a wand. You just grab it. There's a little indent here for your thumb, so you can just kind of push. This is an Olaf. This one is a much more ergonomic handle. It has, the nice thing about this one is it has the blade lock unlock. So you'll see if you squeeze it, the blade is now showing. And if I let go, the blade is quickly withdrawn so you won't cut and hurt yourself. Actually comes to injuries. This is the #1 way that quilters get hurt are with rotary cutters. So be careful. Now rotary cutters come in several different sizes.
There's an 18, 28, 45, and 60. So this is a little tiny 18. You can see how wee little guy this is, and it just basically pushes along. I prefer to use 45s. This is probably one of the most common size for quilting. You'll even see that's what this one is as well. They're always marked on the boxes or on your rotary cutters, so you'll be able to know which size to get. You can also, eventually as you start quilting more, you can opt to get different blades. You'll see this has the wave cut on there, which is kind of similar to pinking shears. So you won't have to worry about fabrics that fray. But again, for quilting, just a very basic little package. Often this one you can pick up together as a set. I will put a link down below so you can take a look at this one as well.
Your second most important tool is going to be your cutting mat. Now your cutting mat actually goes beneath the fabric when you're cutting it to protect whatever table that you're working with, whatever your work surface is. Now I have an entire video dedicated right here to 8 different things you want to look for if you want to do a deep dive into cutting mats. Today, because this is for beginners, we're just going to go over 3 different things you want to look at when purchasing your first cutting mat. So the first thing to think about when you're purchasing a cutting mat is to get one that is self-healing. Now, a self-healing cutting mat is actually made up of tiny little particles that will separate when you cut through them. So if your mat is all these little tiny particles, your cutting blade is going to come right through. They're going to separate for that split second that the blade comes through, and then they will come back together and in essence self-heal. So if you compare that with like a hard mat, one that won't self-heal, that much more likely is going to get a lot of those lines that are going to be really deep cuts in there. Now, obviously over time, a self-healing mat, if you're constantly cutting on, for example, the 6-inch line over and over and over, you will get a little bit more of a permanent groove there, but that self-healing is going to really extend the life of your cutting mat.
The second thing you want to think about is the size of your cutting mat. So think of the space you're going to be cutting in as well as the projects you want to be working on. Are you looking to make a small mat that can travel with you to like your quilt guild meetings at church? This would be a great little example of one. This one's actually pretty dirty, so if you need to clean your mat, here's a video on how to do that. But this is the mat I take with me to all my guild meetings at church because it's nice and small. You'll see it measures just about 17 by 11, so it fits really well in a travel bag. This one's a little bit larger. You'll see here's the dimensions on this guy. He goes from about 18 inches to 24 inches. So this is a good size if you are going to be working from home. Say you have like a temporary area that you're going to be building up and breaking down every time you sew. This would be a good choice. Now, the big boy, I cannot get in the camera. This is my permanent mat.
So by definition, a permanent mat lives permanently on my cutting table. This mat that you see here is the one I use most often. It's 22 by 34, so it's quite large. It does give me that ability to easily work with yardage.
One of the other things you want to look at are the different markings on your mats. So already you can see that there's different markings and different colors that we've got here. So this white mat that I use is just a very basic, there's not a ton of different markings on it. This little travel mat is a darker color. And it does have a few basic markings. So in addition to the inches, obviously 1/2 inches and 1/4 inches, it's kind of got these angle cuts. And so this will help you when you start cutting right angles in the future. Again, don't worry about that too much now as a beginner. This is also a really great mat. Again, this is from Fiskars. I think they're a great sewing brand. So they've got some already squares that are cut. So say you need to cut 2-inch by 2-inch squares, you can just come and measure them out, 2-inch, 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch. This is a nice little grid. They've also got the angles that come off the corner here. This makes it really great if you want to get 45-degree cuts or 60-degree or 30-degree cuts. Again, these markings are just going to make things really easy. I linked to this, all is down below. Now let's talk about the colors real quick, because the colors actually tie into making the choice. So you'll see, again, I use a white cutting mat a lot, but I love having this darker color because you guys look, if I'm trying to cut white fabric on white, and then you still go and you put a ruler on top of that, you can't really see where the edges are very well, especially as you get older and the lighting goes down. So I like to have a darker color mat as well for cutting. Now this is a great mat, again, because not only does it have the dark on this side, it's reversible with light on this side. So when you're working with darker fabrics, a lighter cutting mat works. When you're working with lighter, you want to switch to that darker side.
So one of the areas I always felt most overwhelmed by in quilting stores was quilting rulers. There's so many different kinds. I am going to tell you, this is probably the only one you're ever going to truly need unless you're doing some very specific projects. So I use this pretty much 100% of the time, you guys. So this is a standard, it goes 6 inches by 24 inches. I'll put a link down to this below. There's a lot of different varieties. You can, again, just like we looked at with the cutting mats, you can take a look and see if there's certain markings you want on yours, which direction you like the numbers to read. Those are just going to be small little variations. As you advance in your quilting career, you can pick up additional rulers. Now, say you are traveling a lot to church because you are part of a ministry where you guys are making quilts and donating them or sewing them for a shelter. You may want to pick up some smaller rulers. Again, these just travel a little easier. I've broken several of these trying to travel with them. They're pretty sturdy for around the house. You can even drop them on the floor once or twice without them breaking. But if you're traveling a lot, they will snap over time. So over time, you can invest in a small one once you get started. Items 1, 2, and 3 are all about cutting your fabric. Items 4, 5, and 6 are all about pressing it. So first up is your iron. I have this iron. This is a Sunbeam. I'll put a link to this down below. I have had this for years and it works great. If you have an iron that you've had for a while and it just needs a good cleaning, here's a video on how to clean your steam iron. If you're in the market for one, I highly recommend this one. There's a lot of different varieties out there as well, of course. If you're looking for a new iron, I recommend one with a retractable cord. So the cord here for this iron actually hides inside. You just push this little button and it retracts. And what I like about that is it makes it a lot easier for me to travel to my church with Quilt Guild meetings. It also makes it just cleaner when it's sitting up on my shelf in the studio. There's not cords hanging around for me to trip on or stumble on. Okay. Now you're gonna need something to press on top of. So that's where this wool mat comes in. Now, is this something you have to have on day one? No. But if you're shopping for something, I recommend starting with this wool mat. So wool mats are great because wool, as you know, is a heat conductor. That's why, like on cold days, you put on that nice thick wool sweater. A wool mat is going to also enable that feeling of pressing from heat from both sides. Now, obviously, you've got the heavy heat coming down from the iron, but your wool is going to warm up and distribute that heat evenly, making it so you're almost pressing both sides of your fabric and really getting those creases out, which is what you want. Now, I love this mat because, again, when I'm traveling to church for the Quilt Guild meetings, I can take this with me. It travels really easy. This one measures about 14 by 14 inches. They come in all sizes. Now, again, if you have an ironing board already at home, you can obviously use that. I do think that if an ironing board, though, is something you're going to have to constantly be setting up and then taking down and then setting up and then taking down every time you want to quilt, it may get very frustrating. So this can sit on top of any surface in your house. You just put it down, you press right on top of it, and you put it away when you're done. Do you remember in scripture when John the Baptist was the voice that cried out in the wilderness? This is kind of like that baptismal water. A little baptismal water smooths out the fabric and prepares a way for you to begin sewing. It really makes sewing that much easier when your fabric doesn't stretch in all directions. And do you absolutely have to have this on day one as a beginner? You don't. But by using this on day one, you are going to have fabric that is not going to stretch as much. It's going to cut a lot more evenly. And when you're sewing, you're going to end up with a lot more clean, crisp lines. Item number 7 are going to be your pins. Now we can make an entire video all about pins. In fact, that's not a bad idea. And when I do, you'll find it up here. But in the meantime, let's take a look at 3 things specifically related to pins that you want to pay attention to when you're buying your first set.
So first up is design. Now pins like these with these little flowers are cute, but this is plastic and this can easily melt when you're pressing. So if you do want a detail on the top of your pins, I recommend getting something like these. These have a glass ball head, and so because it's glass, it's not going to melt. You'll see here's a whole package of these glass head pins. The pins themselves should be stainless steel or nickel plated. That's going to help with rusting. The second thing I want to talk about is how to hold them. Now you'll see I do have some of these flower pins that are plastic because they are easy to grip. But I was just introduced to these magic pins, which I'm super excited about. They're easy to see. They've got this big, long, comfortable handle on each one. And that handle is heat resistant. So I've got a pair on order. I wish they were here to show you. We'll make a video when they arrive. But their heat resistant handles are easier to grip and they're nice and long. Now that length is the third thing you want to talk about. So these are some pins that my grandmother actually used to have. And you can see these are just little sewing pins. These would be great if you were like, just pinning something to make a dress. But if you're sewing for quilting, let me show you here the difference. Can you see the difference in these? In terms of measurements here, so this one's like 1.5 inches and this one's only a little inch. So these quilting pins are always going to be a lot longer. They're going to be that extra length, and you want that because you're going through multiple layers of fabric, especially if you're going to be getting ready to quilt your fabric. You're going to need to pin all those layers together. You're going to want that longer size.
Number 8 is your seam ripper. Trust me, you guys, you are going to use this. It doesn't matter how beginner or experienced you are. Every quilter has to reach for his or her seam ripper more often than they may want to. Now, I like to think of my seam ripper as going to reconciliation. I do something wrong, I confess my sins, and I'm absolved. And my seam ripper is just like that. It's like the grace of God, right? You sew something wrong and then you go back through it, you take those seams out and you're back to where you started. So those are my 8 beginner tools that I think you guys really would benefit from as a beginner in getting off your quilting career. So I do have a few extra bonus items that would really level up your game that I would love to share with you. So first up are your chalk pencils. So you can use a regular lead pencil for marking a lot of your fabrics, but if you're working with darker fabrics, you're going to need something that's lighter colored. So you can get a white chalk pencil. Now this is one I've used for years until it broke a couple weeks ago. So I'm probably going to get a refill. I'm also really interested in this kind of chalk pencil. So this is a roller. I saw some friends using this and that looked really easy for marking as well. So there's a lot of different options, but you want to think about having different colored fabrics. You may need to be marking them, and sometimes a lead pencil, because it's always dark, won't always work. Your second item. These little packages are not just decoration. So up here I keep all of my binding clips. So binding clips go on the edge of your binding just like this. So by clipping these on, they're going to hold down your binding while you're going through your sewing machine, and it's going to keep that binding in place. Now, I like these better than pins because the pins can only hold so much fabric. These slip right on. I'll hold this nice and close. You can see they actually have this little lift in them right here, and that actually clips over that little binding loop, and then it holds the bottom nice and flat. So these are a great tool. I'll be honest, I also use these sometimes just to hold fabric together instead of pinning. They're just really easy. So binding clips are great. And your last tool are going to be a good pair of shears. Now I have shears on here as kind of like a bonus item because we all have scissors around the house, right? So you don't have to purchase fabric shears right off the bat, but there's something really great to have. So I've got some here. These are my fabric shears. You can see these started off as fabric only. I had them marked so nobody else in my house would use them for fabric, and now they are also used for paper. They were recently used by my son for something very sticky. You can see they're kind of stuck together. So I went and purchased another pair. Again, these are Fiskars. I love that brand. A nice pair of fabric shears in order to cut through. So shears are even different than scissors themselves. You'll see that these are flatter on the bottom. Normal scissors kind of would have they would look almost like this, if you will, where you have this little round on one side and then, a round one on the other side. It's a little better that way. But your fabric shears are going to always be flat. And that's because if you think about cutting fabric this way, you want something that's going to be level. Another benefit of having a cutting mat, you don't have to worry about scratching your surfaces. So if you're brand new to quilting, don't let the quilt store overwhelm you with all the different supplies. Again, there's just a couple basics you need, and you can continue adding tools as your skill set grows. So if you haven't taken a look yet, here's a great way to find and pick your very first Christian quilt pattern as you're getting started here in our beginner series. In our next few videos, we'll be walking you through how to create a quilt from scratch. We'll be showing you how to cut the blocks and even to add some scripture to it. So I look forward to joining you in that video. Take care.